Share this with a man who is being controlled through something he loves. He needs this more than you know. They are holding something over you right now, and you already know what it is. A relationship, a title, a reputation, an outcome you cannot afford to lose. And because you cannot lose it, you can be controlled completely. Every threat in your life is built on the same foundation: your fear of losing something. Remove the fear of loss, and the threat collapses every single time. But you were never taught how to lose something without being destroyed by it. So you hold on to people who diminish you, to positions that imprison you, to outcomes that have already cost you everything. Holding on is not loyalty. It is fear with better posture. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. What you are about to understand will make you untouchable in a way that no weapon, no wealth, no position ever could. You were raised in a world that rewarded attachment, that called it love, that called it investment, that called it character. Care deeply, commit fully, build everything on the relationships and outcomes you value most. Nobody told you that everything you invest in becomes a leash. The more you need something, the more whoever holds it owns you. Think about who in your life knows what you cannot afford to lose. Think carefully. That person, whatever their title, holds your limit. They know exactly how far they can push before you break. And systems, institutions, workplaces, markets are built to identify your attachments and use them as leverage. Comment below, what is the one thing in your life right now that someone else knows you cannot afford to lose? That thing you just identified, that is your exposed flank. That is where every attack on you has always landed. The answer is not to stop caring. The answer is to make peace with the loss before it happens. Pre-grieving is not pessimism. It is armor that cannot be seen, and therefore cannot be removed. The man who has already accepted the loss cannot be threatened with it. The threat has no teeth. That stillness, that is not coldness. That is freedom, the most expensive kind. This philosophy has a name. It has a tradition, and it is older and darker than anything you have been taught. And the man who mastered it first described it in terms that still cut like a blade 2,000 years later. The Stoics understood power in a way that no modern self-help system has ever come close to replicating. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth for nearly 2 decades. He commanded armies. He controlled empires. He held the lives of millions in his decisions. And he spent his private hours writing a journal, not of victories, but of discipline, of release, of making peace with impermanence. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Read that again. Power over your mind, not outside events. Every threat you have ever faced attacked the outside, and you surrendered the inside. Aurelius was not teaching passivity. He was teaching the one move that makes every other move possible. Detachment is not the absence of care. It is the presence of mastery over what care is allowed to cost you. Master that, and no one can ever hold your life hostage again. Let me give you the exact lessons Aurelius and the Stoics documented. Apply every one. Aurelius drew one line above everything else. What is in your control and what is not? In your control, your choices, your responses, your values, your attention, your effort. outside your control? Results, other people's actions, reputation, outcomes, timing, everything else. Most men spend 90% of their energy on the second list and lose themselves completely. Comment. What is one thing you are still trying to control that you already know is outside your control? The moment you release the second list, your energy returns fully, like a river undammed. The Stoics practiced something modern psychology has rediscovered and barely understands: negative visualization. Every morning, Aurelius mentally rehearsed the loss of everything he valued: his power, his family, his life. Not to become despairing, but to become grateful, and to become immune to the threat of those losses. When the threat comes, and it always comes, he has already stood where it points. It cannot take him there against his will. Begin practicing this tonight. Sit with the loss of the thing you fear losing most. Stay with it until it passes through you. What comes out the other side of that practice is not numbness. It is freedom. The most advanced teaching of the Stoics was not endurance. It was love. Amor Fati. Love of fate. Not acceptance of what happened. Love of it, as the exact material required to become who you are. Every loss you have ever experienced gave you something that comfort never could. Comment. What loss in your past gave you something you would not trade away now? That realization that the loss served you is the first step out of fear and into mastery. Detachment in relationships is the most misunderstood concept in human dynamics. It does not mean you do not love. It means your love does not cost you your center. The man who needs the relationship to survive can be threatened through the relationship every single time. The man who loves freely from a place of completeness, not lack, cannot be weaponized against himself. Aurelius loved his children. He buried several of them. He did not stop governing. He did not stop loving the ones who remained. That is not coldness. That is the most courageous form of love that exists. Love that has already faced its worst day and stayed. The Stoic warrior fought battles he knew he might not win. He brought his full ability regardless. Outcome attachment turns every effort into a hostage negotiation with fate. It makes you negotiate against yourself. Release the outcome. Master the process. Show up at full capacity every time, regardless. Comment. What outcome are you so attached to right now that it is affecting the quality of your effort? That outcome is not worth what it is costing your performance. Let it go. Do the work. Aurelius governed the largest empire in the world from one principle: no one can touch what is inside you without your permission. Your mind is your fortress, and you have been leaving the gates open. Every opinion you needed, every approval you chased, every outcome you gripped, these were gates you left open. Close the gates, not in fear, in sovereignty. The man with a sovereign interior cannot be bought, threatened, or broken. He can only be engaged on his terms. That man, you know him when you see him. He has always made you slightly uncomfortable. Now you know why. He has nothing you can take because he has already given everything away in his mind and taken it back as freedom. Comment. What would become possible for you if you were no longer afraid of losing the thing you fear losing most? The answer to that question is the size of the life that is waiting on the other side of your attachment. Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What blocks the way becomes the way. Share this with a man who is being controlled through something he loves. He needs this more than you know. The next video examines the philosopher who took detachment further than anyone in history, into territory that will challenge everything you believe about desire. That video will not be comfortable. None of the true ones are. You stayed until the end of this one. That is not nothing. One question before you leave. If everything you are most afraid of losing was gone tomorrow, who would you finally allow yourself to become?